You're listening to the Confidence Podcast, your one-stop shop for motivation, inspiration, and confidence to help you boldly and bravely take action on your dreams. I'm your host, Trish Blackwell, and I teach entrepreneurs and dream chasers to take action on the dream God put on their hearts. I empower go-getters to get past their stubborn insecurities so they can crush their goals, outgrow their fears, and create prosperity in their businesses and lives. It's time to rise and shine. Let's dive deep. Hey y'all, it's Trish Blackwell here, your confidence coach. You're listening to the Confidence Podcast, episode number 322. And really specifically today, we're talking about stopping the crazy. This is how to stop caring what your friends think. And we're speaking specifically about friends, but this can be relationships. Honestly, your friends are your circle of in the sphere of influence that is keeping you back often from doing the things you want to do. Now, I've actually done a previous podcast on this. We're going to mention this. The previous podcast is legitimately my most downloaded podcast of every episode I've done. So out of 322 plus episodes, because there are some bonus episodes if you dig through my website that aren't available here on iTunes and in your podcast app. But out of, let's just call it 350 episodes, the most download is how to stop caring what people think. And I wanted to go deeper because the reality is that we don't necessarily care what strangers think. I mean, kind of, but when we know that we're never going to see that person again, we're less attached to the outcome, right? Like we're more prone to go, you know what, I'm going to be myself. But it's the people that we're going to see again. It's the whispers. It's the, what will they say? What will they think? What do they think of me? Do I fit in? Do they like me? All of those things that often keep us stuck on the sidelines of life, keep us stuck in a state of really just averageness. And the thing is I know you are not created to be average, because otherwise you wouldn't be here. Like of almost 8 billion people currently in this world, right? Like if you think of the billions of people who've existed before, God, they created the universe, decided that the world needed a you. So I don't think there's anything average about that. Maybe you're new to the show. I should probably let you know how things go. Here's what we're going to be covering specifically in this podcast episode of the Confidence Podcast. We're talking today about how to stop the cray-cray of caring too much. I'm going to dive into a little bit about why we care so much anyways, and then the real reason you might be stuck right now in whatever you're trying to change. Like if I think this weight, this heaviness of caring too much what people think really holds us back from what matters most to us. And it's what gets us stuck into the performance cycle, into perfectionism, into people pleasing, into procrastination, into overthinking, into imposter syndrome. A lot of that things I already coach on here on the Confidence Podcast. This is often a root that aggravates and fires up those internal flames of insecurity that make us go, you know what, maybe I'll just stay here and play it safe, right? I'll wait this out. You were not created to wait it out. So, but I'm excited you're here. If you've never listened to the show before, but you can always get the show notes. You might be driving, maybe you're doing dishes in your hand, or you're folding laundry in your hands, and there's something I say, you're like, whoa, I need to write that down. You could always go back to my website. We keep the show notes there at trishblackwell.com/322. I'm just so honored to get to be a voice of encouragement in your life. And I got to say thanks. And I got to let y'all know, it's a Friday. I'm recording. I just went for an amazing run outside. It was like that perfect, it's almost about to storm here in Virginia. And then where I was running, I had to run an errand. And I was like, well, cool, I'll just run here. And then I went back to where my car was parked. And then I saw a pho restaurant, and there's very little that as far as beverages that I love more than iced Vietnamese coffee, and this place had it. And y'all, I like that Vietnamese coffee fires me up like no end. I'm almost overexcited to be coaching right now. So you'll have to forgive my maybe I guess it's almost like a jittery approach today, but yeah, like I'm committed to helping you get past this firewall in your life. Before we dive into specific coaching, I want to remind you that this week's podcast is brought to you by my partnership with Beauty Counter. And I mean, you guys, I love all things clean thinking, clean living, clean eating, clean beauty. And I'm sure you're seeing my favorite clean beauty brand all over the news. We were literally the top Googled brand beauty trend of 2018, and we're truly affecting change through beauty. And if you haven't fallen in love with Beauty Counter yet, you're actually the one missing out. So shop for safer beauty, and let me love a little bit on you as a customer. You can place an order at beautycounter.com/Trish Blackwell. Now, I got to let you guys know, you have been showing up when it comes to reviews. And I want to give a little shout out to my girl, Chris Wood, who has been a long time listener. She dropped me an email and said, listen, like, I love that you're being bold and courageous with sharing your own goals with us, that you're asking us to rise up and be confident and courageous and bold and brave and take action and do something that scares you every day and like put your goals out there in bold ways. And that me saying to y'all that my big, hairy, audacious goal this year is for us to get to 1,000 reviews, that she said that resonates. And that was like, you love seeing me be vulnerable. And I like, girl, I need that feedback. I needed it. I love you for it. And I've heard that from quite a few of you. So I got to say thank you guys for supporting me and just my true passion to get what I feel like is my calling, this message of confidence, this helping people step out of the shadows of self-doubt and into the sunshine of self-confidence and step into their calling. Gosh, it just the reviews help more people find us. And I got to say a big old fat thank you. So here is our review of the week. It is from Danny Reed. And she said, wow, 5 stars. Trish, I just started listening this week. And wow, this is exactly what I needed. You are so real and passionate about what you do. You've brought me to tears several times already. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. And girl, I picked you as a review of the week because 1, you've been a listener for a week and you're already paying it forward. That's my love language. And 2, I want you to know that it means the world to me to know that in just a week, you've been able to feel, like, get that emotional change, because it's often, we don't have a lack of knowledge about what we need to do often, but there's a big distance between what's in our brain and what's in our heart. And how do we get the distance of 18 inches or 12 inches, whatever might be distance from your head to your heart, to get that what's in your head to your heart. And when we can work together, and this is what I do in my coaching business, is helping people align their head with their heart so that you can implement and take action and be accountable to the changes that you want. That's where the magic happens. Is we don't need to keep drinking from the fire hose of information and learn more and more and more and overwhelm ourselves. You have all the knowledge you need now. We don't need to change all the things all the time. Like, we need to start with one thing, do it well, then add to it. So I'm super proud of you. Thank you for writing that review. Thank you for finding the show and sharing it with others. So let's talk about this. Let's dive into the promised topic: how to stop caring what your friends think. Okay. So first off, let's just talk generally how to stop caring what people think. And after you listen to today's show, I want you to scroll back and go into the podcast archives. You can either do that on my website, trishblackwell.com/187, or just scroll in your podcast app and check out episode number 187. I have an entire episode on how to stop caring what people think. And in that episode, I talk about how to stop wasting so much emotional energy and effort worrying about and caring about what other people think about us, and people being people in general. And then I give you 5 specific ways to start changing how you let people interfere with you living your best life and your full version of yourself, how to really live free as you were created to be. And then I close that episode out with a powerful mantra to help you find yourself, how to free yourself when you find yourself sucked into the siphon of self-comparison and self-doubt that's birthed when you're worried about what people think about you. So if those are, you're like, ooh, I need that too, that's going to go ahead, add that to your library. You're going to want to listen to that after you listen to today's episode. But more specifically in relation to caring about what your friends think, I wanted to go deeper. I wanted to get more specific, because it's often the opinions of the people closest to us, or the people that we see in our lives. And now at this point, we see in person and also virtually in our social media lives, that keep us from living the lives of our dreams, the lives of freedom that we were called to keep us from making changes. We're so afraid of what someone may or may not think. And there's a quote I shared in episode 187 that I wanted to circle back and start with as well. It's from Elizabeth Cady Stanton. And it says this: the moment we begin to fear the opinions of others and hesitate to tell the truth that is in us, and from motives of policy are silent when we should speak, the divine floods of light and life no longer flow into our souls. Y'all, I don't know about you, but I want the divine floods of light and life to flow into my soul. And that means I can't be silent in fear. I can't cower in the shadows. I can't continue to try to replicate myself into what I think the world thinks I should be. I spent my whole life doing that. I spent my whole life trying to manipulate and mold the opinions of people by checking the boxes, by being successful, by being the star athlete and the perfect student and the good friend. And I wanted to be liked. And I think fundamentally, the issue about caring about what our friends think, and friends also means people that are close to you. We could talk family, but let's just talk about caring what people close to you think. Is there's a fear that, well, if I do these things, or the what ifs they think this about me. What if they think I'm stupid? What if they think my idea is dumb? What if they think I am not capable? What if they think what are they going to think when I fail? And I say when I'm going to fail, because we all will fail. And I think failing is great. It's part of the process. It's how we grow. What are they gonna think? What do they think because my car's not as nice as theirs, or my house isn't as nice, or I don't care about this the way they do? All of that. If we really peel back the layers, we're desperately afraid that we won't be liked. And why do we want to make sure we're liked? Because fundamentally we are wired to need to know that we are loved. So it leads me, I've got 5 things I want to share with you that's going to help you really stop caring what your friends think. And number 1 is going off of what I just said, is I want you to think about the people you love. Now think about what you love about the people you love. And I did this exercise with myself, and the things I love about the people that I love are the quirky things. They're the things that make them different. They're the things that are extraordinary. They're the people I love are the one, and I'm drawn to, are the ones that are boldly and brazenly just going and being themselves. And that they've found a way to step out of the freedom of caring what somebody thinks, because they know that life is short, and they've got these inclinations and desires and thoughts, and they go for it. And you guys, there's so much to admire in that. And so when you think about the people you love, I also want you to think about how your opinions of them can sometimes wave, right? Can ebb and flow. And that's helpful to realize that you can have an opinion about somebody that you love, and your opinion might change, but your love for them doesn't. And sometimes I've had opinions about people, and I'm like, okay, so someone I love, a friend of mine, and I love them. That love is not going to change. And I can have an opinion about their style, and I'm like, I don't like that one. And then the next day I'm like, dang, I love how they look today. Does that mean, does my opinion about what they wear or don't wear have any bearing on their style and on who they are? No, it's a fleeting opinion. And sometimes my opinion is an uneducated opinion, right? So the bottom line is, my opinion does not matter. And I've said this before, I believe I said it in episode 187, is that what people think about us, it's not our business anyways. So number 1, remember that we're not just out to get people to like us. We are already loved. And you can't shake off love. And if you're jumping through hoops and wearing certain clothes and being showy with your material, like with your material things, and being in a clique and doing all the things to get the outward approval, I want you to know that you know this already, because you're in it, and I was in it. It's exhausting. That finish line is going to keep moving. So when you can do everything to earn someone's opinion and get their approval, and then it's going to shift, and then you have to keep going for it. And the people who are going to love you and like you are going to love and like you for who you are, not for who you're pretending to be or for who you're trying to be to get them to like, for who you are. And the people who don't like you, you can move on. And that's something that was really freeing for me, is to realize there are going to be people who don't like me. Period. It's such a simple concept, but you guys, that was really, really, really hard for me to step into and accept, and to know that somebody not liking me doesn't change my value, doesn't change my worth, it doesn't change my purpose, it doesn't change how God sees me, it doesn't change how the people who I love see me. And it's helpful when I think about I don't know, Beyonce, or I personally I love Beyonce, but I love Shakira. Like, and you might be like, who? And you're like, how do you not know Shakira? Or you might have heard of Shakira and be like, oh, gosh, I cannot stand her music. Meanwhile, I'm like, I would fly to Colombia to listen to attend a live concert, right? Does Shakira care what my opinion versus your contrary opinion is of her? No, because it's just an opinion. Opinions are fleeting and they really have no value no bearing on our value. They're not indicative of or dictators to this proclamation of what we're becoming. And I think I wanted to share with you that when I started my business, when I started this idea of confidence coaching, when I morphed into really realizing, without even realizing that I was becoming an entrepreneur and kind of paving my own path, and because I didn't know what I was doing. And I remember being a little bit worried, not a little, that's an understatement. I was extremely worried about what that my coworkers were thinking, because my coworkers were my friends, and I didn't want them to think I was self-promoting, or that I thought I knew it all, or that that I was stupid, or that, I'm friends with people of all faiths, and I was really worried to talk about Jesus, because I was like, well, what if I offend them, and what if they don't want to, like, and then I'm like, these people already love and like me. Like, these are my friends. We don't have to have the same political beliefs. We don't have to have the same religious beliefs. We don't have to be the same. We're not meant to be the same. They love me for me. They don't want me to silence myself, to censor my passion, or squash it, because they might not think that my social media post was cool. Or they might think that my Facebook Live had bad lighting and that's stupid. Or they might be sitting on the side, and which is what they're probably going to go, you go, girl. They don't have to agree with me to support me. And the thing is we sort of in our minds come up with all these narratives that are not actually going on about what these people are saying about us, how closely they're watching us to see if we're going to fail as we put ourselves out there, whether we're going for a business dream or writing a book for the first time, or giving love another go and rebuilding our lives, and or maybe you're trying to live debt free and pay off all of your debt, and so you're saying you're packing your lunch, and everyone's like, well, gosh, like, come on, like, just come out to lunch, it's no big deal, and you're saying no, but you're worried what they're gonna think. They're gonna think you're cheap, blah blah. Like, we go down these things, and you know what they don't? They're probably just going, good for her, good for him. When you stand by who you are and the convictions and passions you have in your heart and your priorities, and you honor them, people will honor you, even if they aren't doing the same thing as you are. So I want you to realize that. And when I used to be in the fitness world and working as a personal trainer, I would talk to our members often about this, because there's a lot of fear about going into a gym. So many people resist joining a gym and starting a fitness routine because they're so afraid of being overwhelmed and intimidated when they walk in, because they think everybody's going to stare at them in the gym and think, well, what are you doing here? You're stupid. You don't know what you're doing. That's not how you do that exercise. And here's what I want you to tell you. And this is a great great metaphor. But also, if you are that person I'm talking about that's afraid to go in the gym because you're so afraid to run outside in your neighborhood because you're like, you don't want people to think you run like a goofball, I want you to realize that people are not paying as close of attention to you as you think that they are. These opinions that are keeping you from life aren't even happening. Like, this is the cray-cray of caring about what people think. Nobody's actually thinking about you. Yeah, you think that they are, and so then you don't live your life, or you modify your life, you modify your goals, you play small because of this narrative and story that you've convinced yourself everybody else is thinking about themselves. Meanwhile, everybody else is having the same thing happening, and they're tiptoeing around, coloring in the lines, so to speak, because they're worried about what you might be thinking. But at the same time, simultaneously, you are obsessively thinking about yourself, and you aren't even having an opinion about them. Do you see why this is like, it's like, how do we break the cycle? We break the cycle by just going, like, I've done this for too long. It's not got me where I need to go. Why don't I try something different? Which leads me to number 2. Act as if you only have 36 more months to live. Like, what would happen? Most of us are going to have more than 36 more months to live. Some of us might have 36 more hours to live. But what would happen if 36 months is 3 years? And 3 years is a really interesting number, because, all right, if I say, hey, pretend you have 10 years left to live, and what would you do with your life? Like, 10's kind of a big number. It seems a little far stretching. Like, I have a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old, so like, it's very hard for me to imagine my son being 11 and my daughter being 14. Like, that's just like that blows my mind. So that's a hard number. 1 year, you're like, oh, well, then I'm just going to spend all my money. But 3 years. 3 years. 3 years is interesting because you see it as it's almost done. It's short, yet there's time to take action on what actually has been pressing on your heart, what you feel like God's calling you to do. It is the sweet spot where you go, oh my gosh, if I keep caring what my friends think, if I keep worrying about what they're going to think when I post this or when I share this or when I do this or when my family and I, I don't know, pull our kids out of school and go live in Europe for a year, and they're going to go, whoa, all those little side comments, which truly all are just comments, passing thoughts. You go, I refuse to let this fear of what people may or may not think of me keep me from living my life. My life, like, it's so precious. So if you were to act as if you only have 36 months or 3 more years to live, that will help you go, I don't have time to waste. I literally can't waste time caring whether you like me or not. That's freeing. I hope that if that's what you take away from today, even if you're just paying yourself lip service, even if you just practice saying this, hey, like, I literally don't have the time or emotional capacity anymore to care if you like me. I hope you like me. I hope I give you value. I hope I serve you. I hope I encourage you. But y'all, do you know why I show up for this podcast? Why I pour my heart into my business, my passion? Because I feel like it's my calling. I feel like and so I hope that it resonates. And if it doesn't for you, then it's going to resonate for someone else. And I can walk in that with confidence, right? And so it's really a freeing place to be. It's scary. And then I think it's really interesting to be number 3, to be honest about what you've missed out on. If you don't really take the time to look at and realize, wait, what has caring too much about what people think of me? What is caring too much about what my friends think of me kept me from in my life? And what have I missed out on? What opportunities have I said no to? What did I not do? Was it, maybe it's just you're not wearing bathing suits, not wearing shorts. If we go body confidence, worrying about how people might be judging your body. Maybe it's having a fulfilled a fulfilled physical relationship with your partner because you're so worried that they're judging your body the way you judge your body, and they're not. They think you're beautiful. They're with you. Or maybe it's you could be 10 years further in your business or your writing career if you hadn't worried about what Susie Q would say about you, how you were showing up on social media, right? Or if you're asking for money for something you used to as a hobby, maybe you create craft jewelry and you don't want people to think you're money hungry and you don't want to do sales. Like, what is it that you've missed out on because you've let worrying about what if typically it's about 3 to 5 people that we've sort of put on this pedestal in our mind that are sort of, without them knowing it, they're dictating our paths of our lives, when really, if they matter to us, they're gonna just love us. And if they are truly judging us with that fierce of criticism and that fierce of opinions, negative, you don't need them in your life anyways. That's the beauty of it, you don't have to have them in your life. Which leads me to number 4. Stop being so afraid to be alone. Now, why did I say this? Because it goes back to, one, like we keep some people, we don't do things because of fear what somebody may or may not think, or what right. They're going to think I'm too nerdy. They're going to think I'm too religious. They're going to think I'm too hyper focused on, like, they're going to think I'm too different. Like, I can remember I remember feeling nerdy and different when I was working 60 hours a week, and then I was writing my first book and saying no to my friends that were like, hey, do you want to go out? And when I was the only person reading nonfiction books that I knew. I was the only person that I knew that was reading for fun. Like, I know what it feels like to be on the outside, right? And then to think, gosh, but I knew I showed up and I kept doing it because I was like, the people who I'm supposed to be friends with are going to love this Trish, the real Trish. And it turns out they did. And it goes back to what I said. Think about what you love about people that you love. It's not that you are exactly the same. It's just that you respect that they show up and they're authentic and congruent to who they are. And then furthermore, stop being afraid to be so alone. Like, I think sometimes we are so driven to care about what people think. We want to fit in the box. We want to be part of the group. We yearn to fit in, and then also we want to stand out. So it's very confusing. It can be quite complicated. But then we convince ourselves, well, if they don't like me and then nobody else likes me, well, then I'm going to be alone my whole life, and I'm going to be this fear of loneliness. And I got to go back to what we said earlier. There's like 7 billion people in the world, And we live in a world that's connected. I can hop on FaceTime with anybody in any country in the world. And it's almost like we're sitting in the same room. You're not alone. You won't ever be alone. Even if you lost everyone you know in your life right now, there are more than enough people to build relationships with, to have great community, to grow with, and that you will be alike. And I know sometimes I felt so different for so long because of how I'm wired, because of how I'm driven, because of my convictions, and all of these things. And I realized, no, like we've the number of listeners that reach out, I'm like, Trish, I feel like we're supposed to be best friends. Like, you would be my best friend, or you would be my friend. Like, you get it. Like, if I had known 20 years ago what I know now, how many people are like me, even though I'd convinced myself that I was the oddball out. You guys, like, we got to stop buying the lie that we're going to be alone, that we're the freak, that we're the outcast, that which is why we then go, well, I need to really just play by the rules, because I don't want to jeopardize these friendships I do have, because like it was hard to make these friends anyways. There are more than enough people in this world for you to have great relationships and connections with. And then finally, number 5, when it comes to how to step out of caring what your friends think of you, is I want you to resist the desire to cheapen who God made you to be. I don't know about you, but like, I think it's pretty basic when you have a big group of friends who literally are all basically the same person. That's boring. That's high school, y'all. That is a clique in high school that is superficial and surface value, and every one of and it's desperate striving. It will leave you feeling empty. I don't want you to be Trish Blackwell. I don't want you to be Rachel Hollis. I don't want you to be Jen Sincero. I don't want you to be Joyce Meyer. I want you to be you. God made you to be you. And I know that I spent I wasted a lot of years of my life and a lot of emotional energy trying to be who I thought everybody said I should be. I should be a great swimmer. I should do this. I'm going to do this. I kept, and I'm the preppy girl. I do this. I wear this, like, and I just kept trying to replicate what I thought other people wanted me to be. And what it is, it was just, I was a cheap knockoff version of other people. I don't know if you want to buy if you're in the market for Louis Vuitton, you're trying to get you're upgrading your purse. I mean, and if you had an unlimited budget, do you want a authentic Louis, or do you want one from Chinatown in New York City for $20? I mean, right? If money's off the table, if you could afford either one, do you want the cheap one or the real one? I want the real one. Do you want the cheap life or the real life? Do you want to be the cheap you or the real you? And I'll tell you, it's a lot easier when you start just being you. So then the next thing I wanted to coach on, I hope that was helpful. Why do we care so much anyways? And that's just helpful to, like, while you're like, okay, hopefully you're like, okay, so I can start implementing those things. That makes sense, Trish, right? Okay, but like, what about like, how did I get to this point? Like, and here's the thing, this is human wiring, and especially this is the wiring that comes from living in the 21st century like this, that comes from living in 2019, where we don't just have a physical life, we've got a social, an internet life and social media life, and these just it's a highlight reel compared to highlight reel. There's so much comparison, there's so much showmanship. And so why do we care so much anyways? We care so much because we look to the wrong places to get our worth. We often look around to the wrong things to get our worth. We compare and give ourselves a place in this world in relation to comparison, not in trust and faith for the fact that God created you to be you, and you are here for a reason. You were born where you were supposed to be, to the parents you were supposed to be, in the country, the state, wherever you were supposed to be, for a reason. And I think the other reason we care is that we're taught to strive for approval. And I want you to know you don't have to strive. You get to just be. You get to be you. You don't have to do you. You have to be you. And, we mentioned this earlier. We yearn to fit in, but we also want to stand out. But we're also so afraid of being weird, left out, isolated, unknown, forgettable. I spent years feeling like I was forgettable. I was always surprised when someone's like, "Oh, you're Trish, right?" I'm like, "Ah, they remember me." But I convinced myself that if I wasn't getting the affirmation, if I wasn't getting the accolades, the likes, the this, that the people's opinions were dictating my happiness. And so we care because we're getting our worth from the wrong places. And we're trying to do in order to exist, in order to be, versus be in order to do. So what's the real reason you might be stuck right now? The real reason you might be stuck right now is because being in a place where you're caring too much about what people think, friends, spouses, parents, will always keep you stuck. And it's so funny. This is an interesting thing for me to be coaching on because I am the queen of caring. Like, y'all, and I don't mean I'm the most sensitive person. I'm the queen of caring, just over caring. In sports, I cared so much about being the best or putting my heart into what I did that I overtried, I overcared, I overtrained, I over raced. I can very remember specifically in college, and guys, this was a pretty high level athletics, and I would do all the right things. I prepped and I'm swimming 5-6 hours a day and training right and eating right and all my heart's into this. And when it came to races, when it came to when I was more prepared than anybody else, I would get into the pool, I would dive in, and I would overswim. So if you don't know swimming, it may not make sense, but basically I would go and I tried so hard that my technique would go off. My hands would slip in the water. My technique would get sloppy under. And also, if you try so hard in athletically versus resting and not caring too much, there's a fine line between being really committed and putting your heart into it, and then also not caring too much. Because if you care too much, you accelerate your heart rate raises, and then all of a sudden anything that you're doing, the speed at which you're going, which might have normally been a comfortable speed at a high level heart rate. Well, if you're caring too much and you're like, oh, this really matters, this really matters, this really matters, even just saying this really matters right now to you on the podcast, my heart rate went up. So if your heart rate goes up, anything you're doing physically is harder. So I would get in the water, I'd race, and then I'd care so much about racing that I would accelerate my heart rate, make the act of swimming and racing even harder, and then I would overexhaust myself before the race was done, and I would be winning the race, and then people would be catching up to me, and then I'd be like, oh no, they're catching up, and I'd overthink, overtry, care, and surprise, surprise, I basically would hit a brick in the pool, and I'd get out touched, or I would just get crushed. And so what I've learned is that caring too much can be detrimental. And so I had coaches saying, Trish, here's the deal. You care too much. So here's what we want you to do. We want you to try to stop trying so hard. And you're like, wait, that's like a catch-22. How do I try to stop trying? You're telling me try hard to not try hard. And so please know that that's my mental wiring. And if I can find, this what we're coaching on today in this podcast conceptually seems pretty simple, but please be patient with yourself. And if you want to deepen your patience and your self-compassion, go back to last week's episode number 321, trishblackwell.com/321, to really get some coaching on how do I extend myself grace and patience so that I'm not I'm not overthinking how far I want to be, and I can actually just be present where I am so that I don't start caring too much. But all that to be said, if I can learn how to break these patterns, I really, really confidently believe that you can too. So why does caring too much about what people think keep you stuck? And I think I have 3 things I wanted to share with you. It's because it will keep you from hearing the voice of God. Caring too much about other people's opinions keeps you from hearing God's voice. Now, why? Because if you're listening for something, you're listening for the voices of others. You're listening for the opinions of others, not the opinion of God. Where you put your focus and listening, when you put your listening ears on, look, I got toddlers. We talk about listening ears. You listen specifically. We'll go out and we'll say, all right, can you hear that bird? So when we hear a car go by, I don't actually hear the car because I'm listening for a bird, because my baby is super excited talking. He calls birds duckies. All birds are duckies, right? So we're just, that's what we do, but we don't hear the horn honking, because that's where our focus is. And the same thing, where you listen is what you'll hear. And so caring too much about what people think is going to make their voice the most important voice in your life. And I'll tell you what, that's or at least in my experience, that will leave you very, very empty. Another reason is it will keep you from generating and stepping into self-trust, which is actually self-trust is what you need to take action on any idea you have, a dream, goal, or life change that matters to you. And so when you care about what people think too much, and you're like really worried about, oh, well, if I do this, they're going to think this, or what if I do this and I fail, and then they might think, blah, 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 blah. You go around that circle and that overthinking in your head. Well, you don't just, what it does is it keeps you from just taking action. And when we're constantly overthinking and never taking action, and always having desires, but we're never doing and never trusting, then we never have the opportunity to build self-trust. And then we wonder, why I'm just have no accountability, I have no follow through. And the reality is that because overthinking about what people might think has kept you from taking action, and you can't build trust until you take action and step into a relationship with yourself. I can't have trust in my marriage unless I have a relationship in my marriage. But I have to show up. My husband and I sit together, we talk together, we text throughout the day, we send each other emails, we go on dates, we work at it, we show up, we take action. In the same way, you've got to, if you want self-trust in your life, for follow through, so you can step into an action, an idea, a dream, a goal, or a life change that matters to you, you've got to step into self-trust. And overthinking, and by listening to people's opinions, or worrying, or hypothetically narrating these stories that aren't actually existing about what someone may or may not think about you, or what you're doing, or how you look, or what your skills are, that's going to keep you from taking any action. It just keeps you stuck. And then finally, another reason that caring too much about what your friends think or what people think, how that will keep you stuck, is that if you keep striving to conform to quote unquote being enough in the opinions of others, which we've already mentioned are fleeting and constantly changing, meaning that means that your confidence will also be in an eternal state of flux and fluidity. So if your confidence, and I feel enough because you're getting the accolades or the praise, or you're in crew, or people are really impressed with the trips you're going on or the things you're doing, that means like that might feel good for a while, but opinions we've already seen are fleeting and constantly changing. And all you have to do is look at Hollywood, what's in, what's not, like how quickly something's hot or not. It means your confidence will always be in this like just eternal state of flux and fluidity, which leaves you to this state of exhaustion because you're always chasing the finish line that's constantly moving. It's exhausting. I don't know about you, but I actually have done a race. So I did a race. It was years back, but I did a running race. I think it was I want to say it was let's just call it a 10K. No, it was like a 12K, whatever it was in kilometers, and I didn't know the conversion for kilometers to miles. And so I think when I started the race, I thought, oh, this is a 5-mile race. No biggie. Well, it turned out it was a 6-mile race. And I'll tell you, it's really disappointing to do a race basically where you're sprinting and you're going all out, and you get to like mile 4.5, and you've told yourself this race ends at mile 5, and then you're like, ooh, I'm gonna turn the speed, I'm gonna give it all I got, and you're going all in, and you're like I'm basically doing a 5-minute sprint, all out, sweating, it's hot, and I'm like, get to the 5-mile mark, I'm looking at my watch, I'm like, wait, where's the finish line? And like keep looking, where's the finish line? And it was like in downtown Fredericksburg, so it was in Virginia here. It's this like very old Civil War town. It's beautiful, but it's like tight streets, and so you're just turning, so there was no way to physically see, I could see it way off in the distance. It was like I kept being like, oh, maybe this turn, oh no, like no, where are the I was getting angry, and I ended up, it was another 10 minutes of running, and once you go all out, it's like I literally got that firsthand experience physically of doing a race where the finish line felt like it kept moving, and there was this anger that came out of me, because you should get pissed off about that. And life should not be like that. Yet you are literally signing yourself up for the finish line that always moves, the race that has no finish line, if you continue to care what people think. So I want to challenge you. Do something radical this week. Do something radical as you listen to this. And if you want to be radical, go ahead, hit me up on Instagram, Trish_Blackwell, or on Facebook. I am Trish Blackwell Coaching on Facebook. I want to know, are you making the proclamation today that you are over caring what people think? That you are going to step into hearing God's voice. You're going to step into showing up for what's on your heart. You're going to step and act as if you have limited time left to live, because you do. And you're going to say, I'm not doing the cheap version of my life anymore. I'm going to be bold. I'm gonna be brave. I'm gonna make the most out of what I've been given. And I'm gonna stop being slave to these voices that don't even exist. Guys, if that has resonated with you, I want to invite you to reserve your spot. I have a free masterclass that is coming up. The date is soon to be announced. We're working on the tech issues on the back end, so I'm so sorry I don't have an exact date, but it's soon. It's like this week. So if you are not yet on the waiting list, I'm gonna be doing the course. I want you to be one of the first to take this course, this free class. Save your seat to be the first to learn my full new system, the confidence formula, at trishblackwell.com/the confidence formula. All right, y'all. And let's close out with our listener of the episode, one of my favorite parts of the show. How do you get to be listening to the episode? Well, send me an email, leave me a voicemail on my website, or hit me up on Instagram. This is Run Janae, and I love your name, girl. I feel like I'm cheering for you. I feel like we should be running together. But here's what she said. She gave me feedback. I did an Instagram story asking you guys which of these upcoming topics would be most helpful for you, and she gave me the thumbs up that this specific show was going to be beneficial. So I got to say thank you, girl, for participating. Thank you for giving me that feedback. And here's what she said. Trish, I've deliberately backed off from replying to your story so many times because I've been meaning to write in detail what a life changer you have been to me. I will send that email soon. Don't worry. Please don't lose your courage because you are who I listen to or run to, for lack of better words, when I'm falling apart or just need to recenter myself. Thank you so much. Working on not being that overwhelmed mommy, one of your biggest fans, Jen. And Jen, I send you hugs. I wish we could run together. And I am standing alongside you, mother to mother, saying, let's fight. We are fighting this false message that we get from society to be stressed, overcapacitated, overworked super moms who are unhappy. And our children deserve better than that. We deserve better than that. Life is better than that. So I stand alongside you saying we are not overwhelmed mommies. We are joyful, abundant, and free because we don't care what people think. So amen to that, sister. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for giving me the feedback that this would be a beneficial episode. I hope it has helped. And y'all, if this show was helpful today, share it with a friend. Hit subscribe. Make sure you leave a review. And yeah, sharing, well, it's caring. That goes a long way. So you may not know this, but in your podcast app, you can share an episode, write to somebody's Facebook message, write to their email, or write to a text message. So go ahead, hit that share button, and let's invite more people into this walk of confidence, courage, and contribution. Now y'all go out there today. Go be more of who you are. Be you. Be free. If you've enjoyed today's episode of the Confidence Podcast, we invite you to check out collegeofconfidence.com. The College of Confidence is the essential resource for anyone at any stage of personal confidence growth. If you're still figuring out how to silence self-doubt or like the reflection you see in the mirror, this is the place for you. Or if you're already pretty self-assured and are just looking for ways to chase your dreams with more courage and more gusto, then the College of Confidence can help you get to that next level. With our extensive course library, monthly trainings, live coaching calls, and exclusive Ask Anything forum, you get the most affordable and accessible coaching support available online anywhere. The College of Confidence is a supportive, active community to help you along the way with feedback, encouragement, and advice. Memberships are available specializing in self-confidence, social confidence, and professional confidence, and start at the affordable price of just $20. It is the place for anyone looking to be free from the bondage of self-doubt or self-sabotage. It is the place where we coach you to step confidently into the calling God created you to live out. Check it out and join us today at collegeofconfidence.com.